Welcome to Chalk Talk, a weekly preview of West Tennessee football featuring the Jackson Sun sports team here on jacksonsun.com.
Hi everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Chalk Talk, where we take a look at football in West Tennessee. Coming up on week 3 of the high school football season, a handful of games of interest here in West Tennessee. One of the big ones, Memphis University School will be at Liberty Crusaders, coming off a big win against Haywood last week. Brandon, what are you looking for MUS at Liberty?
I'll tell you what, Liberty got that big win last week, and it's really big for them because they started out 0-2 with the losses to Henry County and Brentwood Academy, obviously, but they returned back to playing teams their own size that are, I guess, more like them, and performed pretty well with a big win on the road as well. This week they got their first home game, and while I'm sure they feel good after that win, they still want to make a statement against MUS this week to say, yeah, we're pretty good when we play in 4A ball and in District 15 AA, but we also are pretty good to compete on a statewide level. And with a program like MUS coming in, I'm sure that's a statement that they feel like they can make. And I'll go ahead and be honest with you, I know it's not a really good thing to compare scores, but MUS got beat by Brentwood Academy just as bad as Liberty did a week later. And I'm sure that Coach Hookfin and his staff has seen some holes and wrinkles they can put in on film that would help them out, and it wouldn't shock me if Liberty comes out of here with a win in this one.
Liberty was a team last year that had a lot of playmakers, and they struggled early, made a run through the playoffs. Who are some of those guys that, if they're going to make a run like that, are going to have to play pretty well for them to have the kind of success they're hoping for?
Well, Devin Bush, he came back from the scary injury that he had the week before at Brentwood Academy, where he got stretchered off the field. He came back last week to score 2 touchdowns. Their quarterback, John White, he's going to have a good game for him as well. And then there's other players like Jocko Franklin, linebacker, and the really experienced line that they have up front. All these guys are going to have to step up, because while MUS may not be as good as some teams that MUS has put out, they're still going to be a pretty good team. Mm-hmm. So Liberty's going to have to play a good game to come out of there with a win.
Handful of other local games at 7 o'clock on Friday that ought to be pretty good. USJ will be at Jackson Christian, South Gibson at undefeated TCA, JCM will be at Chester County, Northside is at Southside here in Jackson, Hardin County is at Lexington, McNairy Central will be at Adamsville.
With the exception of the MUS Liberty game, we could almost call this rivalry week in West Tennessee. High school football, USJ and Jackson Christian, their campuses are about as far from me to you away from each other. In North Jackson, South Gibson and TCA, they're about 10 miles apart. With South Gibson, this being only their 3rd year of varsity play, it's not like they have that deep-rooted rivalry. But South Gibson owns 2 wins over TCA last year, coming when they started their game on a Friday night and ended on Saturday afternoon because of inclement weather. South Gibson pretty much outscored them. Mm-hmm. Wasn't a lot of defense, especially in the second half. Northside and Southside, we're in the South, and the South loves civil wars. That's what they call this game between Northside and Southside. Southside's coming off their first win. Northside's coming off their first loss. So one team's going to be trying to continue a trend. The other one's going to be trying to stop a trend. Hardin County and Lexington. Lexington's only lost 2 regular season games or 3 regular season games since 2010. 2 of those losses have come to Hardin County. They're obviously going to want to try to continue their win streak, which would be 11 regular season games if they were to win. Hardin County hadn't won in Lexington, so that's something in Lexington's favor. And then McNairy and Adamsville. That's going to be a big McNairy County matchup. McNairy came into this season, we weren't sure what to expect from them, but after last week hanging with Lexington as well as they did, they could give Adamsville a pretty good run this week.
Handful of 7:30 games as well. Milan will be at Trenton Peabody, Crockett County is at Haywood, Union City will be at Huntington.
I'm not sure there's a more historical rivalry than Trenton Peabody and Milan. That one's going to be a good game. Both teams have been up and down at different times this year, so it's going to be a question of which Milan team shows up and which Peabody team shows up. It could be a very high-scoring game or low-scoring game. With the Crockett County and Haywood, I remember last year I covered Crockett County and Milan. It was a similar situation to this game, in which both teams had lost their first game of the year the week before, and then Crockett travels to Milan and didn't perform very well. After both teams had started off 4-0, Milan pretty much handled Crockett County that night. Obviously, the Cavaliers are going to try to avoid that situation this week at Haywood. And then Huntington and McKenzie, two really
Huntington
good.
Union City.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Huntington Union City, two really good Russian teams that game could be over in less than an hour just because the clock won't stop very often.
All right, well, you have to wait till Friday for your high school football games, but you don't have to wait till Friday for the coverage. We'll have coverage throughout the week in the Jackson Sun and on jacksonsun.com. A couple of things you'll definitely want to check out: the Blitz page on Friday morning. I'll have some statistics and some preview capsules for all the games that will be coming up in the area, and so you can find the game that you're most interested in and get a little a sample of what that game might be like. And then make sure to get a Jackson Sun on Saturday as well. We'll have recaps from all the games we discussed and a handful of others. So make sure to remember the Jackson Sun is your source for sports in West Tennessee.